Week that started off with not so good news from the side of Bulambuli after the mudslide swept and left over 370 people displaced within that district that is off in eastern Uganda. Is the same week that has ended on a note of us welcoming in a very new month, that is November 2024. Today is the 1st of November 2024, and if we are to count the days we are left with to put an end to the year 2024, you'll get to realize we've only got about 60 days, with 31 days of December and the 30 days of November, and of which out of the 61 days, that only means we've already covered the very first day, which is 1st November. Welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda. I hope you are well. Thank you very much for waking up with us this very morning. Here in Kampala, it's already raining with some few bits of the thunderstorms that are also being had here within the capital. And that means if I told you just waking up, please make sure that at least by 7 a.m. you've already hit the road, because every time it does rain here in Kampala, you have to expect a lot of traffic jam. But of course, there are lots of events that have been transpiring throughout the week, many of which have also been coming in from the side of Parliament in regards to the many controversies around the Coffee Amendment Bill, which many of the legislators are out there, and not only the legislators from the opposition side, but also those of the public in regards to the public critics of the government, who have also come out to speak against this amendment bill. But in the same spirit, the NRM party members have been coming up to call upon the Ugandans not to pull a tribal trigger in regards to this particular issue of the Coffee Amendment Bill, because with the rationalization of the UCDA back to the Mother Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, the main goal is to ensure that the government cuts on the expenditure and the spendings that has always been coming in, especially when it comes to the agencies who seem to be doing the exact roles that their mother ministries are doing. But of course, besides that, more of the news also coming in within the local perspective of things. And then from the side of the international relations, the Prime Minister, who is representing the country in Abu Dhabi, was also there trying to call upon the investors in the UAE to continue investing in Uganda, and also thanking them for being a host to over 500,000 Ugandans who work within the United Arab Emirates. So that is something that you can look back at and say, yes, indeed, the month of November is starting on a very good note, and so is Good Morning Uganda. But also, please do note that today, on the 1st of November, we shall be taking you live at the new All Saints Cathedral, which is going to be officially opened by President Yoweri Museveni, for the news that we do have so far. And of course, that particular event, or that live event, will be coming to you here on your national broadcaster, meaning for everybody who has been asking the questions of when will the All Saints Cathedral be completed. Well, it is now up and running, and of course the president will be officially opening it or commissioning it, and it's something that you, dear viewer, should definitely be looking out for this particular Friday. But that said, I would also like to hear from you as well in regards to how far you've reached when it comes to the New Year resolutions that you set at the start of 2024. That was 1st January, or many of us did set these resolutions on the 31st as we were entering the year through prayer. Because now we are into the 11th month, and if we are into the 11th month, you can only sit back and say, now, at least good health, tick. The money, not so much. When you look at the friends that you've been able to keep this year, has your business grown? Have you been able to get some promotions at work? Have you left the workplace that you started with? If I told you were unemployed at the start of the year, have you finally got the job? These are the resolutions that many people come out with. There are others who set resolutions of maybe buying property, others building houses. These are all things that you have to look back at and start evaluating to see if at all you did not meet any of the targets that you set at the start of the year. Maybe it is high time you got back and you started to be thankful about the life that you still have, because as much as you have not achieved many, when it comes to the material earnings, you've got to be thankful about the life that you are leading, because that alone is more important. And of course, if at all you've not achieved, again, it is not time for you to lose the hope. You can sit back and strategize again or re-energize to see that by the start of 2025, many of the things that you've been working on in this particular year of 2024 can fully finalize next year of 2025. And I've been following various conversations on social media where many people have been asking questions, what happened in 2025? It's more like a projection sort of post where you just talk about what you expect to achieve in 2025, and that kind of spirit is what I am expecting you, my dear viewer, to be carrying on with you in this new month of November. Of course, the energy is right for us here every Friday, because with the Good Morning Uganda Friday edition, we are always making sure that we look up to the weekend and also make sure that our dear viewer is fully ready for the same experience that the weekend definitely has in store for us. But that said, like I did mention, lots of news have been making headlines within the country and away from it. But now let's first of all dive into the local news to see what is making headlines within Uganda. Now, first on the agenda is the Uganda has opened a business center in Dubai to facilitate the Ugandan businesses between Uganda and investors from the United Arab Emirates. Now, the business center is located at Fairmont Hotel in Dubai. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Anabanje, commissioned the center yesterday afternoon to promote trade between Uganda and the United Arab Emirates. Now, like I did mention in the opener, though I would just remind you that the Prime Minister representing Uganda there in UAE, in order to continue with the bilateral relations and to also to strengthen the bilateral relations, and then to also ensure that business continues to prevail between Uganda and the United Arab Emirates. Now, the Prime Minister commissioned this center to promote trade between Uganda and the United Arab Emirates, which has also been a long-standing relationship. And away from that, the Director General of the National Agriculture Research Organization, Dr. Yona Baguma, has raised concerns over salary disparities among senior agricultural officers. Now, in the same regard, the senior agricultural researchers have also showed their grievances in regards to some of the disparities from their sector, an issue that the Director General of the National Agriculture Organization says is causing many to leave the organization for better paying opportunities, and this is jeopardizing critical research initiatives. Now, Dr. Baguma was addressing a team of delegates from the Ministry of Public Service, which was led by the Permanent Secretary, who had gone to pay a courteous visit to the institution. And away from that, we now turn our focus to the Kampala Waste Management, which continues to be a huge room for debate and discussion within Kampala. Now, the KCCA and other stakeholders are devising means on strategic waste management in the city, and waste sorting was identified as a crucial aspect in solving the Kampala waste management crisis as a sustainable waste management solution. Now, according to experts, this will allow materials like plastics, paper and organic waste turning potential pollutants into valuable resources. And away from that, we now look at the pandemic resilience, because Uganda is expected to face continued outbreaks of epidemics in the foreseeable future, according to Dr. Daniel Chabaize, the Director of Public Health at the Ministry of Health. Dr. Chabaize's focus is based on several factors, including population growth, competition for scarce resources, food scarcity, and living in congested settings, among others. He shared these insights at the dissemination of research findings titled Reflections and Policy Implications of the Direct Impacts of COVID-19 on the Health System of Uganda. And when you look at this, the outbreaks of the many epidemics is not only within Uganda, but also worldwide. And it's on this same regard that Uganda needs to continue following up and continuing to set up different strategies, especially from the health sector, to ensure that we do not fall prey to any kind of situation, or we don't look unprepared. And away from Uganda, we turn our focus on to the international scene, kicking it off with what is making headlines in Europe, as at least 158 people have died in Spain's worst flooding disaster in generations, as rescuers battle odds to find the survivors. As of Thursday, more than 1,200 workers, aided by drones, were deployed to the rescue mission as rains continued to threaten parts of the country. Now, right now, the most important thing is to save as many lives as possible. This is according to the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who told victims in a visit to affected communities. But in some of the towns worst hit in Tuesday's night floods, people were left to the task of recovering bodies from the mud and wreckage. At least 155 deaths were recorded in Valencia, while another 2 have been recorded in Castilla-La Mancha, to the province's west, and another, a British man, in Andalusia. Now, in the town of Paipota, Valencia, where a river burst its banks, at least 40 deaths have been recorded so far. We all know someone who has died, said pharmacist Miguel Gorida, standing outside his chemist shop, which has been covered in thick mud. Now, the United Nations agency supporting Palestinian refugees on Saturday denounced the deteriorating humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip, saying that hundreds of thousands of people had been deprived of adequate shelter, food, medicine, and clean water. The day before the UNRWA spokesperson Louise Waterridge had described the situation as the worst it's ever been. Now, the Gazans are forced to live in bombed out buildings or camp next to giant piles of trash. This is according to a United Nations spokesperson who revealed on Friday, denouncing the unbearable conditions in the besieged territory. Now, Louise Waterridge from UNRWA, the UN agency supporting Palestinian refugees, described the extremely dire living conditions in the Gaza Strip. It is really unbearable, she revealed to the reporters in Geneva via video link from central Gaza. And away from that, also looking into the other details here, court has paved way for new deputy president in Kenya. This is more of the developments coming in from the Kenyan perspective of things. Now, the Kenya High Court has lifted an order blocking the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki as deputy president following the impeachment of his predecessor. Now, in an unprecedented political drama that has gripped the nation, Rigathi Gachagua was removed from police 2 weeks ago after Parliament overwhelmingly approved an impeachment motion. Now, also in the same spirit, the President William Ruto immediately nominated Kindiki, currently the Interior Minister, to replace Gachagua. Now, but the impeached deputy president then went to court, and according to new details, he was objecting to his removal, calling it politically motivated. Parliament had approved Kindiki's appointment, but the court put his swearing in on hold, pending the legal challenges from Gachagua and others. So, by the look of things, Kenya will be having a new deputy president in Kithure Kindiki, replacing the ousted, or representing the impeached, better what to use, Rigathi Gachagua, Riggy. And now we turn our focus onto the press review this morning to see what the press media, or what print media, is reporting this Friday, 1st of November. Starting it off with the New Vision, the Pakasa Forum has been launched. These are more of that report in the New Vision today, as the chief administrative officers and accounting officers are to be held liable, according to the finance department. The ministry is on the spot over delayed projects. Which projects are those that have been delayed? Find out more of that as President Museveni explains how government will cut costs after merging agencies. Also, in the Harvest Money, Ugandan farmers benchmark best practices in the Netherlands. Read about that within the New Vision. Now, Nabanja, whose UAE investors to Uganda, a pictorial of the Prime Minister shaking hands with the first Vice Chairman of the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Al-Said bin Hamal Al-Dahri, during the UAE Business Forum in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday. Then also Agriculture Minister Frank Tumwebaze speaks out on coffee bill. Find out the big interview within the New Vision. And also President Museveni explaining how government will cut costs after merging the various agencies. Now looking into the Daily Monitor. Pay or die is the headline. In between the line, money talks. Patients in critical condition have often been left on their own because operators of ambulance services and health facilities many a time demand down payment before a service is offered. Now there's a breakdown here. The private hospitals, 10 million Ugandan shillings. Many private hospitals charge between 2 million and 5 million daily for managing a patient in ICU, starting with a 10 million down payment. Now 38,996 the number of deaths that were registered in health facilities emergency units across the country between July 2023 and June of 2024. That's a year apart. And then blood over 30,000 Ugandan shillings, and between 30,000 Ugandan shillings and 50,000 Ugandan shillings per unit is what patients are sometimes asked in public and private hospitals to pay for blood at their need. And then also looking at the percentage of emergency patients who arrived at health facilities in an ambulance, 18.9% were in Karamoja. Nkole had 17.3%. Bugisu comes in third at 14.7%. Fourth is West Nile at 13.4%. Fifth is Bukedi at 10%. Teso 9.3%. Toro 7.6%. Acholi 7.3%. Lango at 6%. Chigezi at 5%. North Central at 4.9%, and then 4.8% is standing for Bunyoro. And then in the same spirit, Busoga 4.7%, Kampala 4.6%, and South Central at 3.9%. Now patients, all their relatives had to pay for transportation, with the cost ranging from 500 to 50,000 and sometimes higher. That is to get an ambulance service on your doorstep to the hospital. Now coffee. In between the lines, battle lines drawn as Museveni meets members of parliament today over the same bill. Page 4, 5 and 6 gives you details about this particular coffee amendment bill. Then also in the Daily Monitor, the Scoop magazine allow Bini reintroduce himself. Bini Ganta, he was having a smooth career going for him until a jail sentence set him back a little. Now this weekend, Bini at Garden City rooftop, he's reintroducing himself to you as well. Read about Bini Ganta's journey in today's Daily Monitor with the Scoop magazine. Now to Kenya, the Daily Nation. The inauguration day, he will be sworn in at a public function that starts at 10 a.m. at KICC Nairobi. The second in command, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, a former teacher of law, is said to occupy the second most powerful office in the country after the noisy and messy ouster of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. This is after the High Court decision yesterday afternoon to remove the last hurdle on his way to taking the oath of office. And of course, the front page shows you the new Deputy President Kithure Kindiki Abraham, who is also a professor, now Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, also away from that, also inside Gachagua's fight for survival, the Daily Nation is giving you a detail of that. They impeached Deputy President, a man battling for his political life after the High Court lifted conservatory orders. Now, the acting Interior CS, in his first assignment as the acting minister, Musalia Mudavadi declares today a national holiday. Then mixed reactions overruling the High Court's decision to lift the order barring the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki received with mixed reactions. Now also, America decides US polls and ramifications for Kenya. From today, read incisive analyses of the American presidential elections scheduled for November 5th this year. Now, tribute. Professor Karenga Mutahi, the man who chose his destiny. The former permanent secretary exemplified resilience and adaptability in a landscape often marred by political intrigue. Then in the Voice, living under the sun. More of that report is coming in this particular Daily Nation. And well, as we are ending up our conversations from the local news perspective, and as well as what the print media is reporting this morning, more developments are coming in because the coronation is hanging in the balance as the High Court here in Uganda has annulled election of rival Lango chiefs. The High Court in Lira has annulled the election of Engineer Dr. Michael Moses Odong Okune as the new paramount chief of the Lango Culture Institution, implying that a planned November 2nd coronation for the Wonyanchi, whose gazettement had been ordered by Labour Minister Betty Amongi, may not take place. Now, this in a landmark verdict delivered via email on Thursday. The court also declared the election of Ambassador Dickson Ogwang Okul as the rival paramount chief of Lango null and void. The judgment follows two cases filed in court as Dennis Obia Achila and Benjamin Oki, plaintiffs, versus Dr. Odongo Okune, George Ojwang Opota, Willie Omodo, Tom Otim, Hamza Okelo, and Vincent Oling, who are all defendants. Now, the other case was that of Odong Okune, Ojwang Opota, and Willie Omodo counterclaims versus Obia Achila, Oki, Ogwang Okul, Dr. Dan Okelo, Dr. Richard Nam, Dan Opito Odwe, and Dennis Okwir Jaramogi, counter defendants. In the first case, the plaintiffs instituted the suit against the defendants, challenging the election of Dr. Odong Okune as the traditional on the ground that the election was illegal, null and void. Now, on the screen, you can see Ambassador Dickson Ogwang Okul and Engineer Dr. Michael Moses Odong Okune. The two had been voted as the new Lango Paramount Chief in controversial elections organized by separate Lango culture institutions. And well, of course, more of those developments coming in from there in the side of Lango, and issues to do with chiefdoms and kingdoms in northern Uganda. Well, if you ever need any motivation at the start of a day, I want to believe the biggest motivation that you can receive is at times if someone so dear to your heart wakes you up to a morning call or a morning text. And at times, if at all someone sends you a mobile money message that you least expected, it can be the best motivation that you would ever think of, so to say. But in the same spirit, you also get to realize that when the new month is just starting, you also need motivation, because to many people, the month of October did not seem to be a good month. And maybe the best motivation they can receive this Friday on Good Morning Uganda Friday edition is an inspiration song that gets them going. The 1st of November is here, and Good Morning Uganda Friday edition sends you the very first of the November inspiration song. This particular one is dubbed Motivation from Morgan Isaac featuring Exodus. Enjoy this one. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda,
which is 1st November. Welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda. I hope you are well. Thank you very much for waking up with us this very morning. Here in Kampala, it's already raining with some few bits of the thunderstorms that are also being had here within the capital. And that means if at all you're just waking up, please make sure that at least by 7 a.m. you've already hit the road, because every time it does rain here in Kampala, you have to expect a lot of traffic jam. But of course, there are lots of events that have been transpiring throughout the week, many of which have also been coming in from the side of Parliament in regards to the many controversies around the Coffee Amendment Bill, which many of the legislators are out there, and not only the legislators from the opposition side, but also those of the public in regards to the public critics of the government, who have also come out to speak against this amendment bill. But in the same spirit, the NRM party members have been coming up to call upon the Ugandans not to pull a tribal trigger in regards to this particular issue of the Coffee Amendment Bill, because with the rationalization of the UCDA back to the Mother Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, the main goal is to ensure that the government cuts on the expenditure and the spendings that has always been coming in, especially when it comes to the agencies who seem to be doing the exact roles that their mother ministries are doing. But of course, besides that, more of the news also coming in within the local perspective of things. And then from the side of the international relations, the Prime Minister, who is representing the country in Abu Dhabi, was also there trying to call upon the investors in the UAE to continue investing in Uganda, and also thanking them for being a host to over 500,000 Ugandans who work within the United Arab Emirates. So that is something that you can look back at and say, yes, indeed, the month of November is starting on a very good note, and so is Good Morning Uganda. But also, please do note that today on the 1st of November, we shall be taking you live at the new All Saints Cathedral, which is going to be officially opened by President Yoweri Museveni, for the news that we do have so far. And of course, that particular event, or that live event, will be coming to you here on your national broadcaster, meaning for everybody who has been asking the questions of when will the All Saints Cathedral be completed. Well, it is now up and running, and of course the president will be officially opening it or commissioning it, and it's something that you, our dear viewer, should definitely be looking out for this particular Friday. But that said, I would also like to hear from you as well in regards to how far you've reached when it comes to the New Year resolutions that you set at the start of 2024. That was 1st January, or many of us did set these resolutions on the 31st as we were entering the year through prayer. Because now we are into the 11th month, and if we are into the 11th month, you can only sit back and say, now, at least good health, tick. The money, not so much. When you look at the friends that you've been able to keep this year, has your business grown? Have you been able to get some promotions at work? Have you left the workplace that you started with? If I told you were unemployed at the start of the year, have you finally got the job? These are the resolutions that many people come out with. There are others who set resolutions of maybe buying property, others building houses. These are all things that you have to look back at and start evaluating to see if at all you did not meet any of the targets that you set at the start of the year. Maybe it is high time you got back and you started to be thankful about the life that you still have, because as much as you have not achieved many when it comes to the material earnings, you've got to be thankful about the life that you are leading, because that alone is more important. And of course, if at all you've not achieved, again, it is not time for you to lose the hope. You can sit back and strategize again or re-energize to see that by the start of 2025, many of the things that you've been working on in this particular year of 2024 can fully.
Decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The current police crime updates indicate drastic
next
increase
year
in
of
cases
2025,
of
and I've been following various.
Uganda attributes this upward curve movement to the economic situation in the country, which has made people hate their lives.
Economic issues that make them contemplate even suicide, but the anxiety that we see among many men and the depression is many times associated with the economic issues, and the things they talk about is I've lost my job, and I cannot provide for my family.
The demographic population of Uganda with high rate of educated and employed youth is another concern which has pushed a specific age bracket on the wall to resort to suicide to end the game.
Every day universities are getting a lot of students out as graduate, but the lot who have never worked is so massive. Many people walk in here and then they think you have a job when you don't have, but then the person gets out and then he looks this way and looks that. You see someone very scattered.
Social media and sports betting are two other toxic platforms that have created anger among a disgruntled class of people to deem their lives useless.
So I think social media in general is a hostile environment. And because of the way we interpret messages that we see in social media is why you see the reactions of anger. I don't know if a study has been done to see the impact of social media, but what we see is that the bullying that happens on the internet, bullying in general, harassment, is a major trigger for mental health problems, especially for young people.
With these statistics, Mental Health Uganda wants government to amend Section 210 of the Penal Code Act, which criminalizes suicide. They are of the view other alternatives of integrating mental health care and services in formal and social institutions should be sought.
Suicide as a public health issue rather than a criminal one. Because why would you charge me in a court of law, yet you did not support me with my issues? Because that's the most critical issue that I had a lot of problems. So these are you, as a state, you must work on the socio-economic determinants.
We don't use the word committing suicide. We actually say the person has died by suicide or has taken their life in the context of choices.
Stakeholders want Ministry of Health to find modalities of extending mental health care to communities as stipulated in the Mental Health Act of 2019. They believe this will increase utilization, access to care, and enhance awareness of mental health care and services. Abdul Nasser Lobama and Rogers Komagom for UBC.
Well, report there by Abdul Nasir. And let me give you more details about that report. As of June 15, 2024, that was a UBC report from the newsroom, which where the Mental Health Uganda was calling upon government to decriminalize the act of suicide, saying it is contributing to the increasing number of people taking their lives. Now, Derek Mbuga Kiza, the Executive Director of Mental Health Uganda, reiterated that there is urgent need of open spaces for mental health care. Now, when you look at the increasing suicide cases as well, we are going to be having that conversation with myself and you, my dear viewer, this morning. The WhatsApp number that you can share your opinions on the increasing suicide cases among the young children, because a new report has found that young children are prone to suicide currently. 709602592 is the number where you can send in your regards to this particular topic of discussion. Now, according to the National Population and Housing Census 2024 report, it shows that Uganda recorded 272,271 suicide thoughts and attempts in the last 10 years. Now, with children of 10 to 14 years registering the highest number of cases at 39,656. These are followed by those aged 15 to 19 and registering about 36,615 cases, and those aged 20 to 24 coming in third with 34,697 cases. Now, with another report as of 2022, the ones we've lost, why more children are taking their lives. Now, a surge in mental health issues, academic stress and the effects of the COVID-19 lockdown, which kept Ugandan schools closed for the longest period of time in the world, are all having a devastating effect on learners, according to the report that was released in 2022. And of course, we may all have remembered the time of COVID-19, where many of the scholars were back at home. And at times, one would still look into the fact that many schools then, during the COVID-19, because this report of 2022 had revealed that because many schools were closed and many of the children were back home and having not so many constructive things to do, and of course we remember so many of the cases to do with domestic violence, families splitting up, all of these were high contributors to suicidal thoughts then for the children in 2022, simply because many had been kept out of school or schools had been closed, and many of them were under the guardianship of their own parents, who were also not going through the best of the time. And of course, new reports have also come out to reveal that at least the rising instances of documented attempts and actual suicide cases among the youngsters across the country have also been highly influenced by the usage of phones, or many of them are seeing certain content that is pushing them to commit their own death or to have thoughts of suicide. So you see, when you're also looking into many of these particular issues coming in from academic stress, and from the aspect of academic stress, you're looking at many of the children who are in schools which are very competitive and calling upon each student to perform highly, basing on what the school has come out with. Many schools at times have, cut-off points, and these cut-off points are normally at the end of the year, because this is a promotional term, and many schools are always setting up a specific mark to ensure that a child passes highly to the next level of their education or to the next class. And not so many students are fortunate enough to qualify to the next class. And this has also been attributed to some of the cases that have led to suicide thoughts, because some of the students come from families that are too strict that if at all a child does not perform according to what the parents are expecting, then the chances are high that they will definitely not be able to go back home happy. They will go back home with fear that maybe their parents might react accordingly, and there is also fear that they are going to repeat class. And also these rising cases of the documented, attempted and actual suicides among school and youngsters are not only those, because they're just like a tip of the iceberg of the bigger problem. Because one may wonder, why then would a child of, let's say, below 5 years, rather below 10 years, think about leaving the world where they do not have so many things at the table, bringing us to a conversation of mental health among the young ones. With the various reports that have been coming out, and of course with the various lookouts to the many children that have come out to speak, many say not so many of their parents think about their mental health, or many of the African parents or the Ugandan parents rarely think about the fact that kids or their children can also be suffering with mental health related diseases. And of the same situation, I want to just draw you back to a report that was released earlier this year, where a senior 5 student committed suicide over a forced combination. Now, this was as of June 2024. The report that we started with was a report of 15th, 2024. Now, this particular incident that happened this year was a senior 5 student committing suicide over a forced combination, taking us back to the element of academic stress. Now, this report shows that a senior 5 student of Wampeo Ontake SS in Wakiso district committed suicide allegedly due to pressure from her mother to pursue science subjects. The Kampala Metropolitan Deputy Spokesperson then, Luke Oweisijire, when this report was released, or the findings from the police, he came out and said that the student, a 17-year-old now Delet, Hawa Nantongo, ended her life due to this. It was reported that Nantongo's mother had been forcing her to take a combination of biology, chemistry, and mathematics, which is BCM, that is for senior 5 level, while Nantongo preferred to go for her own art subjects. Now, specifically divinity, economics, and Luganda. Now, a fellow student informed police detectives that Nantongo was frequently in tears and experiencing trauma due to the academic pressure, which may have contributed to her suicide. Now, many of the students, especially with the academic pressure that comes along, we've all known what happens in schools, especially when it comes to some of the combinations that are out there. Even the students that you look at and know that they are so good or so wise to comfortably do a certain combination, at times they kind of run out of the energy to continue. And many of the schools that we do have do not have classes that prepare or that put the mental health of a child in check, or that help these children to re-energize. Many of the schools are always opening up for students to wake up early in the morning for morning prep, from morning prep into classroom time, and the only break they have is to only go for tea in the morning or do some changing before they go for official classes that normally start at 8 a.m. in the morning, and break time is always 20 minutes. And you're looking at it from the time of the time of rest. You will have to ask, when do the students rest, or when do the students have the time to relax their brains? Because if lunchtime is only 40 minutes and break time is only 20 minutes, you can only see how much pressure this child has while at school. Now, in this same report that saw Nantongo commit suicide, the preliminary police investigations revealed that Nantongo covered her face and left the school before her body was found hanging from a tree outside the premises. But her body that was found hanging by people around the school, it had been conveyed to the city mortuary for a post-mortem. Now, also police reported that Nantongo had sought help from her teachers to persuade her mother, but to no avail. Now, at times when it comes to academic stress and pressure, to you are dear parents that are actually watching, we tend to put pressure on our children to deliver all the time because of the schools that maybe you've taken the child to. Some of the parents come out and reveal to the child at times that I've paid a lot of school fees to ensure that you're in school. I go through a lot to ensure that you're in school, which is also quite viable when it comes to the concerns any parent can have, really. But in the long run, this also has an effect on this young mind that is still growing, because every thought of the words that you use, because all of us know how impactful words spoken can be to anyone or to any individual. And in the same spirit, that is why you find that if at all you are a parent and you are using certain words to your child, they can easily change their mindset or destroy it completely. And in such situations, you find parents who even threaten their children that if at all you do not pass well, do not come back home. Or if I told you do not pass well, I will not take you back to that school. But of course, we take less time to sit down with our children to ask the questions of how are you doing? Are you happy? How are you coping up with school? How are your friends treating you? How are the teachers treating you? Because these are all questions that you've got to ask. And many of the children that we have today do not have the time to even open up to their parents because, well, parents are having a lot of time at work. Others have given their children phones to continue having these, these cases. Others have given their children phones, where children tend to spend more time on phones instead of having some quality time with their parents or with other friends of all age mates of theirs. And also when you look at the bit of the findings that show why we are having increasing suicide cases, there is the social and environmental factors, the mental health stigma. There is fear of judgment and lack of understanding, which is causing or leading to some of these cases. In most of the reports that show why the young children are also prone to suicide is the fact that there is mental health stigma. That if at all a young person goes out to meet an elder to talk about their struggles or their mental health struggles, many of the elders or many of the parents will ask the question of, which kind of problems do you have as a young person? You've not yet seen any. But of course, these young ones are also having so many things they're going through. But of course, with this mental health stigma, they become afraid of even coming out to speak, because when they do speak, no one will listen to them. Now, there is also the bit of social media. Now, social media over the years has become a very huge phenomena in the world. Not only in Uganda, because when you look at the situations and the reports that are coming up, you'll come to realize that there are unrealistic expectations on social media. There is constant comparison, especially among school-going children. And this was the same argument that was coming out in a debate when the prom parties had become a thing here in Uganda. Many people were asking that what really happens in schools is that schools should not allow children to have these fancy prom parties, because it is going to leave out those who come from underprivileged families or humble backgrounds from also enjoying prom, because they will then be putting themselves on unrealistic comparisons, where they will think their parents do not love them, where they will think that maybe they do not have a chance or a shot at a good life, because maybe their fellows who are coming in from better families are having a better prom. Now, looking into the other issue, peer pressure, academic, social and emotional stress. And well, of course, before even getting to the peer pressure, there is the cyberbullying element on social media. Cyberbullying has not only led to suicidal thoughts amongst the young people, but also even the elderly, because those who use social media will tell you that there's a lot of cyberbullying, especially when it comes to social media use. Many of the people who have found themselves having these thoughts of social media, or who have been struggling with depression, will tell you that they left social media because they were harassed online. Maybe someone made a comment that did not sit well with them. Maybe someone projected, an issue on them, and many of them kind of failed to deal with this kind of sexual bullying, looking into it as online harassment, and then many have failed to actually open up and ended up ending their lives or even leaving social media for good. Now, the bit of peer pressure, this comes on the bit of academic, social and emotional stress. Academic is on the side of the kids, of the school-going children. Social and emotional stress goes way beyond even school children, because everybody at this moment is facing something or is dealing with something, and at times the peer pressure is making it even worse, because not so many people can deal with the same. Now, there is also the bit of socio-economic challenges, poverty, inequality and limited opportunities. This is something that you can look at and say it has led to the increasing cases of suicide thoughts in the country, because many people are struggling when it comes to the financial bit of things. Others are struggling in places of work. They are not being promoted, the salary disparities, maybe there is delay of payment, they are having toxic bosses, and well, they cannot leave these places of work because it is where they fetch an income for the daily living. Then others, the bit of the economic stress unemployment levels in the country are quite many. And when unemployment hits, you do not have anyone to run to, you do not want to become a beggar. Others always have the thoughts of, saying, let me just end my life at the end of it all because I do not have a job. I do not have where to get the money. And also, we're asking here this morning that when you look at these cases of young people prone to death by suicide, we're asking, what do you think is leading to these increasing cases on your side as our dear viewer? And also, in the same spirit, we're asking to share with us what you think should be done to ensure that we curb these increasing cases of suicide, especially among the young people. Because the psychological and emotional factors have also showed that depression and anxiety or untreated or undertreated mental health conditions have also greatly contributed to the increasing suicide cases. Now, there's also the bit of trauma, the past experiences, abuse or loss. Now, many people are struggling with past experiences. And speaking of the past experiences, it can be due to the childhood trauma you went through as an individual. While growing up, some people grew up from very toxic families, others grew up in the hands of relatives, others were unfortunate to grow up with, let's say, stepmothers. We've had people sharing stories of the unfortunate experiences with their stepmothers while growing up as children. Others, while growing up, or others experience, for example, young women who have been victims of defilement, victims of rape, and others who have been victims of torture while growing up, have been having all these particular trauma experiences that in the long run have greatly contributed to suicidal thoughts. And on the other thing is the media, the media representation of suicide cases. And media goes way beyond. You can look at mainstream medias, radio, television, you look at newspapers, then you also look at social media from the other side of things. One may wonder, how does social media, or how does the media represent mental health? At times, people are judged negatively when it comes to them opening up about their mental health struggles or mental health related issues. And just last week we had a conversation about the same, where a musician where we had musicians here who were sharing their bit of things, and they were sharing to us that you can have. We had Buka Chimi here who was sharing that you can have a hit, or you can have a good song, or you can be the star in the world, but when you're struggling mentally, when you are struggling with so many things, you are going under you're facing depression, you have mental health related illnesses, you cannot come out to open up to people because people will judge you, the media will speak bad about you, and then it will rather increase the cases, or will rather increase the situation from worse to even a more intense situation that can even lead to the suicidal thoughts. But I have some comments coming in from some of the viewers here, and I'll be going through some. This one is saying, good morning Uganda. I think the main reason why there is increased suicide cases among the young people is due to the high level of unemployment. He says you find that most young people have studied and have no employment after pursuing their academic courses, so they feel depressed, thus suicide. Now this is Filton Egwang. Thank you very much, Filton, for that. And Filton does share a very important detail here when he says that the bit of unemployment and the fact that you cannot meet the basic needs. And of course, we've all been into a situation where you do not have a job, or others are currently unemployed as we speak now. And that moment is not an experience you would wish for anyone, because one, it is one that comes with a lot of stress, a lot of demands on your table. You have lots of thoughts of what you can do. You have lots of things you want to buy for yourself, or you want to achieve. But because you do not have a job, you do not have a business of your own, there is no way you can actually meet these standards or these basics, or there is no way you can be able to achieve anything that you want to get in life. And it's one of the reasons he says, according to Filton Egwang, that has led to these particular suicide cases. And of course, this is an open argument really, because if you look at the fact that you've gone through university, and at times if your parents have been, able to pay and clear all your academic dues since childhood. Now the demand is always, when are you getting the job? After university, what next? Because they expect you to be having something to do. But at times it becomes very unfortunate for many people who have failed to find a job, who have failed to find something to do. And these are scenarios which many of the young people have been finding themselves in over the years. Now, this one says, good morning, sir. I am Ahmed Amanzi from South Africa. And this one says, I just wanted to contribute on the issue you are discussing this morning. And he says, my idea when I look on the issue is suicide has become a big problem from the time marriage has become a big problem as well. For example, he says that the only reliable way of making children and raising them is via marriage. But what has happened now, through the introduction of the so-called freedom and gender, you'll find that many unplanned children are born in our societies who find no reliable parents to upbring them. Marriage issue should be considered if this issue is to be addressed. And of course, Ahmed Amanzi from South Africa. Amanzi, thank you very much for being live and also contributing to this particular topic that we're having this morning. Of course, you can also be following us on the live stream that is of YouTube, but also you can call and send a WhatsApp or SMS. The number is on the screen for any of you who wants to be part of this show and to contribute accordingly as well. And Amanzi shares a very, very pertinent issue here and opens up room for another discussion when it comes to marriage. Of course, we're seeing so many cases today of single parenthood in the country, and many are on the side of the mothers who have been left alone to raise their children. Many have come out to reveal that their former partners are now deadbeats. They do not want to contribute to even school fees. They do not want to do the co-parenting with them. And when you look at these cases that are rising, many people are growing up with only one parent. And I will tell you, when you're growing up with only one parent, the trauma that you experience or the kind of stress that you grow up with as a child, or even in your adulthood, is that you do not have a second parent to run back to. And at times you are living in life where you are growing up with a lot of anger because your other parent who might be alive was not in your life while growing up, which will affect you, and you will be stressed. And many people are going through a lot when it comes to this element of coming from broken families, which has also led to some cases of suicidal thoughts amongst the young people. Now we have another comment coming in from Aturinda Alon Nyindo, who says the issue of mental distortion started with the most leaders showing the public that art subjects in education are of no value. He says everyone now thinks that without sciences there is no future, hence leading to overthinking and use of mental force. Yet someone is gifted with arts, non-sciences, try to show the public that all professionals and subjects in life are equal and can all lead to success. Well, he has an argument really, Aturinda, because the report that I shared as of 10th of June 2024, which shows that the late Nantongo committed suicide because the parent was forcing her to do a combination of biology, chemistry and mathematics, while on her side, according to the report, she wanted to do divinity, economics and literature, meaning for her she was not interested in doing sciences. But of course, on the side of the parents, many parents do feel that if your child does, for example, science-related combination in A-level, and at university your child does a science course or program, the chances are high for them to to get a better paying job in the market. But of course, according to what Aturinda here is saying, that this is coming in from our leaders who have come out to show that science subjects are more important than the arts. And even when it comes to the payment, you get to realize that many think that if you don't do a science-related program, the chances are high you're not going to do a better job. So meaning many parents have found themselves in situations where they have to force their children to continue going in for these courses, whether they, for these courses, these combinations, these programs of science-related subjects, whether they are good at them or not, because the parents think it has a better paying structure, they have better paying structured jobs, and also it gives them a higher privilege in society as well. Then we also have other comments coming through. This one says, good morning UBC. I think it's extremely important for fresh graduates to lower expectations and take on anything which can generate some basic money, like farming. And he says, unfortunately, most youth hang in towns after studies. Tairi from Arua. Now, Tairi from Arua says something important here, who says that many young people have found themselves stuck in urban areas or in towns because they believe this is where the opportunities are coming from. That even when they fail to get a job in urban areas, they do not want to throw their hopes elsewhere or to go and try out into different regions of the country. And of course, Twahir, who's in Arua, comes from a point of telling you that, well, in other areas, there are also opportunities which you can as well go for. But of course, Twahir, however much this is an opinion that is really up to the task, you've got to also understand that at times it's not easy for a job seeker to find a job, especially with jobs that need experience. At times it's very hard for a fresh graduate to go in there and find a job. Many jobs are asking for experience. At times, many of the fresh graduates do not have any experience, and the best experience that they've had is only internship training. And of course, the companies or different bosses that are to give you a job when you're just a fresh graduate may not give you as much money, or may not even give you money at times, which also is a contributor to the stress and depression that many of the young people are facing or dealing with. Now, also we have another comment coming in from Gerald Chisache Sebwate from Sembabule. Again, thank you very much, Gerard. Send greetings to the people of Sembabule. He says, I think one of the causes of suicide cases is family neglect and low self-esteem. He said, thanks, Gerard. And well, I don't know if you've got the chance to interact with so many people, Gerald. When it comes to, low self-esteem, it is actually, in most cases, many people of low self-esteem is majorly people who are coming from families that are broken, and all coming from families where they were really neglected while growing up, and they were not reminded of being valued at home, and at times they were never showed a lot of love while growing up. Or many of those coming in from growing up from toxic families, and they do not have this kind of esteem. And the aspect of having self-esteem is something that everybody needs to work on. And at times I've found myself dealing with quite a number of friends of mine who have this same kind of thing. And low self-esteem is something that you grow up with, and at times you have to fight to make sure that you gain that self-esteem. That is why many young people today, especially on social media, if they find that someone is trying to throw down their esteem, they either quit social media before they get into depression, because they know what it took them to find that esteem. And at times, it is one of the things that you can do for your own self. And I've also been seeing many advices coming in from people saying that if at all something is taking away your mental health, or if at all you're not at peace where you are, whether it's a job, a relationship, friendship, or or the neighborhood that you're living in, the best way before you put your mental health at stake is to leave that place and go somewhere where your heart feels happy, or where your heart feels settled. And this is the exact comment coming in from Gerald Chisache, who says low self-esteem is a great contributor. Now I have another comment. This one says, good morning UBC, thanks for the program. Simon Onyango from Tororo is my name. On the issue of suicide, self-employment would solve this matter, but freshers tend to minimize small jobs with small pay. Now, of course, he says many minimize small jobs and small pay. Well, at last, you come to understand that at times the small pay is, why they minimize the small pay is when you look at the cost of living today, at times if you are looking at the jobs that give you small, and speaking from someone who has experienced it before, is that many of the jobs that demand you to do a lot pay less in this country. And at times the young people end up running away from these jobs, or not even applying because they know the demands of the jobs are high, but the payment is low. And when you mention something to do with self-employment, you're right on the money, but at times you also realize that fresh graduates do not have startup capital to go out there and get this money and also start up their businesses, their own businesses, or not so many of them come from families which can help and support them start up their own businesses or come up with something new. And away from that, there is another comment, but thank you very much for your comment as well. That is Simon Onyango from Tororo. Another comment is that young people should be prepared emotionally right from school, and they should also have patience too. Not to have utopia, or not to have utopia hope, but look at things in reality, looking at things and being flexible. Well, this is a comment coming in from Leah, and Leah makes a very, pertinent concern here, because when you look at the issue to do with the reality, is that many of us, because of social media, are always living in a delusional world. We are imagining ourselves achieving things that are not realistic at the time. Or we are always having thoughts of achieving things, yet we do not have the money or the capacity at that time. And many of us have not lived within the current reality. And this is where the comment of Leah is coming in from, who says that she hopes young people should start looking at things in the reality context, that you really need to have a reality checker that, yes, you want to drive a car, but this is how much you're earning. You want to live in a 1 million apartment, but does your cost of living or does your income inflows every month give you that kind of range to go in for that kind of, a housing, or can it give you that kind of, range to go into that kind of lifestyle? This is a comment from Leah. Now, also another comment. This is Penina from Kasese. She says, "Good morning, UBC. Just wanted to contribute to the topic. Another cause of suicide amongst young people is failed relationships, heartbreaks. Was working at a certain health center earlier this year. We registered at least 2 cases by ladies that had poisoned themselves due to heartbreaks. And well, of course, there is also that bit of relationships today that have left so many people in tears. And of course, at times you do realize that we build relationships with people, and not all of these relationships are meant to last. But of course, not so many people have enough gas within them to continue taking on a rejection. Of course, there have also been other reports over the years that have contributed to these cases where many young men have ended up, ending their lives simply because a woman walked out of their lives. And because they couldn't control that kind of rejection, they couldn't control the sadness, and of course, those emotional, breakdowns that happen, especially when someone is undergoing a heartbreak. Those times are harsh if someone cannot deal with them, and many young people have found themselves committing suicide or having suicidal thoughts over the years, and others have also been admitted to rehab, not only because of suicidal thoughts. Others have got addicted to drugs, saying that with drugs maybe they're finding solace after those particular issues as well. Now, also, when it comes to some of the recommendations coming in from some of the reports, it shows that encouraging open conversations about mental health is something that is very, very important. Schools have to be very mindful when it comes to opening conversations about mental health. Do the young children understand how to deal with mental health related issues? And if at all they open up, how then do we support them? How then do we help them go through such situations? But that also said, you also have to look into situations like parents. How do you speak to your children? Do you show them enough love to ensure that they do not face anything to do with depression, to also ensure that they do not have these thoughts of suicide over the years? Now, there's also another recommendation, which is ensuring accessible youth-friendly mental health services. And of course, I've seen quite a number of youth groups coming up, for example, Rotary and the different you know, clubs, Rotary clubs, Rotaract clubs, even Interact in schools. Many of these clubs and of course other NGOs within the country, we've seen some of the civil society players in the country coming up with different initiatives and also coming up with various programs, seminars, webinars to create room for conversation. Even on the X spaces these days, you can see many people on social media contributing greatly to this cause of mental health, to ensure that at least people share their stories and people give them you know, opinions, people give them solutions to what they are dealing with the ghost that they are going through, so that at least they have something to talk about, so that they have someone to run to report to in case things are not going their way. And also the other recommendation coming in is fostering supportive relationships and networks. The supportive relationships can be in form of friendships, networks can be in form of you know, family. It can as well be work groups where people come together to ensure that they help one another, especially if someone is dealing with a problem that is a mental health related issue. And of course, all of these are other recommendations that people really need to kind of have. But on the side of the government aspect, you get to realize that developing and implementing effective suicide prevention strategies is also something that many of the government bodies need to look into. The Ministry of Health, you're looking at you know, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, because these are things that fall under these ministries, and they have to come up with better strategies to ensure that the young people you know, are given room to speak out, room where they can easily you know, air out their emotions, their feelings, so that they can go through all these feelings, not alone but with other people who can give support to them. Now, we are also having another comment coming in, and I think I'll be ending up with this one as we're ending up with our newsreel this morning. This one says, good morning, Joram. I am Edgar from Kabale. He says, young people are being neglected by their parents. They don't want to invest in their children, and this can contribute to suicide because these young people are not able to meet their demands of life. Well, this is also an opinion that is very viable in this context, because many young people find themselves being neglected by their parents. And of course, at times, the parents are not neglecting them because they want to. At times, the parents are neglecting the needs of their children because the parents are also struggling financially. And at times, it becomes very difficult for these parents also open up to their children to tell them what is on ground or what is happening. And in the long run, the children find themselves having so many demands out of the blue, having so many things they want to achieve. And well, in the long run, again, we are seeing many of them becoming criminals day in, day out. And you can easily see that it is not something that you would wish for any parent to struggle with. But of course, we were coming into this discussion at the backdrop of a report that was released by the Daily Monitor just last week, talking about young people becoming prone to death by suicide. But at the backdrop of the same report, you get to realize that with the National Population and Housing Census 2024 report, it was showing that 272,271 of the suicidal thoughts and attempts in the last 10 years, the children of 10 to 14 years registered the highest number of cases at 39,656. Now, these were followed by those aged between 15 to 19, and of course, these are all now teenagers, registering 36,615 cases, and those aged 20 to 24 coming in third with 34,697, with the elderly and aged 84 and above recording the least number. So when you look at the pressure, it is actually coming in from children between 10 to 14, and then you're looking at 15 to 19, then 20 to 24. So these are young people, young children, teenagers, high schoolers, if that is the right word to say, secondary school students, and of course students at the university. The demands, the societal pressure, social media, great contributors to the same. But we can take part in ensuring that at least we reduce these cases by speaking to these young children, by showing them love, and of course to the parents who have the money to ensure that they provide to the young children. Please, it will be very helpful to provide to your young child, or to provide to your nephew or to your relative if at all there is need and you have the capacity to do so. Together we can fight this, and together we can open room to safeguard the mental health of many Ugandans and many young people. I'm Joram Paul Sonko, and this is Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. You're still watching GMU, and we'll be back shortly after the break. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwao.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwao.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by.
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Welcome to today's episode. In this informative video, we will be discussing the essential tips that can greatly contribute to maintaining healthy kidneys. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, stay hydrated. Drinking an adequate amount of water is essential for kidney function. It helps flush out toxins and waste products from the body. Aim for at least 8 glasses of water a day to keep your kidneys hydrated and functioning optimally. Tip number 2, eat a balanced diet. Include fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in your meals. Avoid excessive salt and processed foods that can put strain on your kidneys. A healthy diet will provide essential nutrients and support kidney health. Limit the intake of processed foods, salt, and added sugars. Tip number 3, control blood pressure. High blood pressure can damage the kidneys over time. Monitor and manage your blood pressure through a healthy lifestyle, including a low-sodium diet, regular exercise, and stress management. Tip number 4, maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese can increase the risk of kidney disease. Adopting a healthy diet and regular exercise can help maintain a healthy weight. Tip number 5, monitor blood sugar. High blood sugar levels can damage the kidneys. If you have diabetes, manage your blood sugar levels through medication, a balanced diet, and regular exercise. Tip number 6, quit smoking. Smoking narrows blood vessels and reduces blood flow to the kidneys, leading to kidney damage. Kick the habit for better kidney health. Tip number 7, limit alcohol consumption. Moderation is key. Excessive alcohol consumption can strain the kidneys and contribute to kidney damage. Limit your alcohol intake to protect their long-term function. Tip number 8, limit your salt intake. Too much salt can raise your blood pressure and strain your kidneys. Opt for low-sodium alternatives whenever possible. Tip number 9, limit...
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
All right, now, before we even head into the USA election update this morning, remember the US will be hitting the elections as of 5th of November 2024. But please also note that many United States people or many Americans have already started their voting, or early voting already kicked off in the United States from different states of the country there. Now, away from that particular one, there's an interesting report coming in from the side of Russia, which shows that Russia is seeking an unfathomable sum of money from one of the world's biggest tech companies. Now, if you can look at the figure, that is the money Russia is fining Google. And that money is written as 2 decillion Russian rubles. And that is a 2 followed by 36 zeros. This is because Google has refused to pay fines that are now accruing for blocking pro-Russian channels on YouTube. Now, the virtually unpronounceable penalty amounts to 20 decillion US dollars. I don't know if you've even heard of that figure now, but at least you do. That is around 20 billion trillion in the simplest way to break it down. So Russia is fining Google 20 billion trillion, or what you could say 20 decillion US dollars. Now that is dwarfs the size of the global economy. Now that particular money that Russia wants Google to pay. Now at $110 trillion, according to the International Monetary Fund figures, world gross domestic product looks modest in comparison. Now the Google parent Alphabet, meanwhile, has a market value of around 2 trillion US dollars, meaning the kind of money that it's supposed to pay is even more than is 100 times more than what they have as a parent club. Interesting in there that Russia is fining Google in that situation. But now let's turn our focus onto the USA elections, because China is watching the USA election but doesn't see much hope for better ties, according to new developments coming in ahead of the polls on 5th of November. The win of the US presidential election could have a sweeping impact on the contentious relationship between China and the US, who are the world's top economies and rival powers. Now, China, where election news is filtered through heavily censored state and social media, the focus has been more on spectacle than the substance, with a sense that no matter who wins, the tensions of the US and China relationship do seem likely to remain. And Beijing resident Li Zhou revealed that to the ordinary Chinese people, whoever becomes the US president, whether it's a candidate A or B, whether it's Kamala or Donald Trump, it's all the same to them, the Chinese. And part of the reason for that may well be a conscious in China, from policymakers down to regular citizens, that die in cast of a US administration that wants to constrain Chinese rise on the global stage, regardless of whether Vice President Kamala Harris or former President Donald Trump wins this year's election. Now, Trump's last time saw the Republicans slap tariffs on hundreds of billions worth of Chinese goods, and also launch a campaign against Chinese telecoms, against Huawei, and use of racist language to describe the virus that caused the COVID-19, which was first identified in China. Now, the past 4 years under President Joe Biden have seen a tone shift effort to stabilize communication between the two countries, but US concern about China's threat to its national security has only deepened, with Biden targeting Chinese tech industries with investment and export controls as well as tariffs, while also appearing to also sidestep long-standing US policy in how he has voiced support for Taiwan, and also a red line issue in the relationship for Beijing, which claimed the self-ruling island democracy as its own. Well, more of the updates in the US will be coming along in our international updates next week on Monday, as well as our USA election update. Like I did mention, we shall be giving you those updates daily till the election time, until the final presidential vote is cast, or till the announcement of the new president who will be ruling the United States for the next 4 years is fully announced. Well, Good Morning Uganda Friday edition will be returning at the top of the hour, and of course every Friday it's the entertainment that makes more sense here on Good Morning Uganda. And of course we shall be having artists to lighten up your chilly morning here in Kampala. And for you who is watching from up country and anywhere else, thank you very much for waking up with us this Friday. When we do return, we have Powerboy, we also have Loverboy, who are all here to entertain and give you the best of their music here on UBC. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to Gmu 7, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Tonight on UBC.
What is the current state of affairs at KCC?
The last 2 months have been very tough months.
What do you think is the challenge, the real challenge or challenges of Kampala Capital City Authority?
KCCA governance structure is very complex.
There is school of thought that the KCCA idea has failed. And some people think, actually I've talked to one of the mayors in the city and he thinks Kampala should be taken back to the local government system.
There's also a school of thought which says, why don't we have KCCA directly as an authority under the central government without the mess of political leaders and all these councils?
Have you applied for the substantive?
Yes, I have.
Tonight on UBC.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum.
Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service include Aswa Farm in Pade District, northern part of Uganda.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through MAI felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
Our manager as a technical person in this place. It is a new farm among the new farms which are introduced for food security, and we are seated on an acreage of about 30,000 acres.
As of now, about 2,000 acres is under cultivation for commercial maize production, with several harvests already realized over time. Additionally, storage facilities are being established to ensure efficient handling and distribution of produce.
We are happy that in the neighborhood of Rugole, we are putting a silo, which is going to be a bulk storage, and who produce from here can be evacuated and taken to Rugole.
An agricultural engineer deployed in Rugole Prison Farm. I am most welcome to Rugole Prison, and this is the silo project, which has a capacity of 3,000 metric tons. It is meant to help in improving the storage capacities and also improving on the post-harvest handling mechanisms.
It's projected that in the next 3 to 4 years, Uganda Prison Service is expected to complete the overall 30,000 acres through establishment of more prison facilities within an agricultural complex.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, good people. Thank you very much for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. I'm very excited. It's a chilly morning in Kampala. I don't know how the situation is elsewhere in the country, but of course this is a season that it does seem like it's going to be a little bit cold. And for the many of the Ugandans who are leaving because of winter away from the African continent to return home, it is most likely to also be cold here, not as cold as it is when it's winter time in Europe or in the West. But that said, welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. Once again, I mentioned that when we do return at the top of the hour, our attention is going to turn on the beat of the entertainment. Today morning, I do have two great performers who are going to lighten up your first day of the month of November. It does not get easier than this, because every Friday we entertain you and prepare you for what the weekend is going to provide. And in studio with me this morning, I have an amazing talent and a vocalist, a performer, and of course he goes by the name Loverboy, who joins us here on Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. Good morning, Loverboy. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, how are you?
I am well. And briefly tell us about, you know, Power Boy. I don't know how I forgot it. Loverboy is the next performer. This is Power Boy. Power Boy, briefly take us through how you came up with the name Power Boy. Is it a name you came up with when you're starting your musical journey, or is it something that you decided to do immediately? You hit secondary.
I came up with that song because with that name because I was inspired by mostly Nigerian artists.
Oh.
They're like Fireboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you decided to come up with the name Power Boy.
Yeah.
Is it an indication that you have the power to hit the music industry in Uganda by storm?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, one may as well wonder, when did you first release your first song? Is it something you've always dreamed of, being a musician, or you just got the idea in your adulthood?
Yeah, I just got the idea later.
Oh, okay. And what was your very first song that you produced?
My first song was Motor Fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And to you, dear viewer, I have Power Boy and Lover Boy in studio. The first one is Power Boy. Lover Boy will be coming up later on after Power Boy is done with this performance. For now, I'm going to leave Power Boy on stage this morning on set to entertain you and put you in the mood for your weekend, because this is the first day of the month, and hey, you should be starting it with us here on Good Morning Uganda.
Yo, Wagwan people. Sing. Kachari kuntandikwa firi mustamulabe watambula onalina byetambuza omulabako nawe nosembera nze ndi wakuna kutwala nabakuno bamanyi mu byalavu yenzalina ogwalali yenzalina omuwomu okuzama ogenda newekyusa eno ne kucyabagira kafiga munanako akajja wanga tekasangika bagamba nti bayitirira bagamba nti kendeza olw'obulungi bwe bwe bwayitirira bwekisoboka gwe kendeza bagamba nti wayitirira bagamba nti kendeza bwe lw'obulungi bwe bwe bwayitirira muwala wanawakyogera obawana wamata walungi wala bulungi bwobo wankasuka wala nkyenonya nzani yabimane malayika nzani tuve murali naitako ntya kweyo mizani gyewapimisa manya ntobimaliddewo ebizibu byange sikyalimu balonya nabo abaali bamanyi tisirifuna ebigambo byabaweddeko kuba genda newekyusa eno ne kujabagira kafiga munanako akajja wanga tekasangika bagamba eno bagamba nti kendeza bwe lw'obulungi bwobwo bwayitirira bwekisoboka gwe kendeza bagamba nti wayitirira bagamba nti kendeza bwe lw'obulungi bwobwo kano kakyali kuntandikwa kakyali kuntandikwa ono alina byetambuza omulabako kati watya nkugambye nti nkwagala ono ddamulawo njagala wetunuleko mundabirwamu bulungi wa mama wammalamu nze baby they call me Papa, eno bagamba bagamba nti kendeza bwe lw'obulungi bwobwo bwayitirira bwekisoboka gwe kendezaako bagamba eno bagamba nti kendeza bwe lw'obulungi bwobwo bwayitirira kano kakyali kuntandikwa yeah. They call me Papa, Oh my God, oh. It is a person, oh an angel. Bono bulungi buli too much. This beauty is a validity. I did it down to the top. Dalina kamoko mumurabe. Sichanonya no more. Abiri na muzute you know. Gwe bali bogerako ali basinga obulungi poliisi gwe nnonya olwokuba mulungi nnyo gwe bali bogerako yo bona asinga obulungi bulungi bwe musango gwakusasanza ono teyazanyira mutaka n'obulungi bwe si bwakukaka amaso g'amalungi ne munye za kitaka obulungi bwe bumega mitima kutaka she's a queen alabika ava mu luli olulangira oh my queen yeah sing oh my baby come on be my baby wamenya nekulabako eno ponna paini in my vein all over my body oli mulimu musayi gwe bali bogerako ali basinga obulungi polisi gwe nnonya olw'okuba mulungi nnyo gwe bali bogerako yo bona asinga obulungi bulungi bwe ze buli okulaba nti kafesi kakalungi kaseka nga rimoti okubisa amasanyalaze vosi ziri mu ttwalo njagaza ti bambi you driving me asonto ze bino byokola you don't know anywhere you go I follow you say I did it down to the toe talina kamogo mu mulabe sikyanonya sikyadaga abirina muzudde ono gwe bali bogerako ali wasinga obulungi polisi gwe nnonya olw'okuba mulungi nnyo gwe bali bogerako yo bona asinga obulungi bulungi we musanga gwakusasanza abantu yeah they call me Power Boy Ubc really bad day yeah it's a person on angel. Bulungi buli tomato. Beauties of a low daddy. I did it down to the top. Talina kamogo mulabi kwe. Sikyanonya no more. Abirina muzudde yuno. Kabari bogerako. Ali wasinga obulungi. Polisi gwe nnonya. Olw'okuba mulungi nnyo. Anoteyazanyira mutaka obulungi bwesibakukaka amasoka mulungi nemunyeza kitaka obulungi bwe bumeka mitima kutaka she's a queen arabika ava mu lulyo olulungira amaqueen kamere yomumawa akukwata kozifunya nenfungeza my baby come be my baby omunyene kulaba keno kono kwenyi ima fenyi all over my body oni mulimu musai bari bogerako ari wasinga obulungi polisi gwe nnonya olw'okuba mulungi nnyo bari bogerako bonna basinga obulungi bulungi bwe musango gwakusasanza abantu ze buli okulaba nti kafesi kakalungi kaseka nga rimoti okubisa amasanyalaze vosi ziri mu ttwalo njagaza ti bambi driving me asonto ze bino kola you don't know anywhere you go I follow you I did it down to the top yeah talina kamogo mu mulabe sikyanonya no more abirina muzudde you know gwe bali bogerako ali wasinga obulungi polisi gwe nnonya olw'okuba mulungi nnyo
Power Boy, and of course he has been giving us 2 bits of his fantastic recordings and of course the songs that he has so far. And if at all you've not had the chance to look out for these songs, I think now you know the person behind that particular song of your Power Boy, who has been with us here on Good Morning Uganda. Power Boy, if someone wants to find your music, where can they get it?
Everywhere, YouTube, Boomplay, Spotify, everywhere, just Power Boy Ebi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Power Boy Ebi.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what would be your final words to your fans out there who are watching and those who tuned in simply because they knew you'll be performing here this morning?
Just thanking them for the support and love. Mostly my people, Power Boy Nation. Yeah, big up to you guys. I'm just promising you good work, good music. Keep up with me.
All right. And of course, away from Powerboy, when we do return, we have Loverboy, another performer who is here on Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. So stick around, more is yet to come.
Dr. Loverboy. I've been in my bed. Love and puliro mubiri nga mugonvo. Baby, jetuvu dolo geno nga luwanvo. Mama, nga tuyise mu bukono bugonvo. Baby, engecho bugagabula nga twali baavo. Mama, nga wagumira kawunga kamuwogo. Kurange no kumogu nebisago. Nga mabanja manja gatuli mbulago. Geneola nkugulire kizigo. Mukama ziche nsaba kuwempera. Anze ne bwempa kulina kuwangala. Bwensiru walanga nekwerabira. Kale mukama chikola nga nantwala. Nebuli banga tonetaga. Bazali ndisinga ebyango kukutasa. Nebuli banga kaloli mairo. Ndikola butawera kuleta simairo. Bambi kusaba kumenangi. Mama, duli chalu munafe tubukenga nyange. Baby, monange kusaba kumenangi. Maybe, ziwu vya dunia era tubimale nawe. Bambi kusaba kumenange. Oba kubenjiri kungudo zechibuga. Kona bachimanye nti yegwe kwenjagala. Newe galiba mataba njigo kuuga. Desina kasente kwa meza malala. Omukwano gwa goletini. Erintwala kuchachera kusande nesabamu. Omutima gwa ye benzi. Mwenjo yo kutula bambi nange bamvugemo. Be gwenjagalo wangale mukwano teruli kyakubagolere kalavuleta mpandike male nkusindikire nze. Oh no no baby, luli kyalo munaffe tookenga nyange. Bambi kusaba ogume nange. Bizibu bya dunia era tubimale nawe. Bambi kusaba tuyise mu bukono buwonvo. Ng'ekyobugagabulamu nga twali baavo. Oba nkuba enjiri ku nguudo z'ekibuga. Bonna abakimanye nti yegwe gwenjagala. Newe galiba mataba njigo kuwuga. Yadde siina kasente gwa mmeza amalala. Omukwano gwogole eddiini. Erintwala kukyakira kusande nesabamu. Omutima gwogwo ye penzi. Mwenjo yo kutula bambi nange bamvugemo. Nsale omulungi gwenjagala wangale. Mukwano teruli kyankubagolere. Kalavuleta mpandike male nkusindikire nze. Baby no. Oh no. Sivaawo kabangobe. Oh no. Oba nsuulibwe mukomera ekitalya. Baby, yegwe mukono gwange fira bulago. No no. Baby, kanjisula njisibe nze mmere ne bwe sirya. Baby no. Omutima gwange toguleka mu bachokozi. Nzijanja ndi mugumu siba kyabalekezi. Bantama abawala bambi balaga malo. Kenkufunye ndayira mbalese ku katandaalo. Nkulina mu feeling njagala kimanye kwagala nnyo munange. Baby, mulavu yegwe linjigiriza okusoma n'okuwandiika. Oh no, lover, lover. Listen no baby girl no. Nga sirina musiripa. Oh baby, bolinde kandi gwe ddalu ndirunda n'obucupa. Kulowooza kulanchi ne kusapa. Boba omanyisaaga ne bwe kuba kufanze kululwa nyiiza. Ne bwe ndiba nekaddiidde mu myaka yeggwa linzigyamu obuseka obanyiiza. Mukwano yadde siina sente eziri kwanjula eziri gulubinti. Naye kusuubiza ndibawo gempewo gy'olisanga sikowa gweddaawo mama. Baby, kulina mu feeling njagala kimanye kwagala nnyo munange. Baby, mulavu yeggwa linjigiriza okusoma n'okuwandiika. Oh no, lover, lover, lover. Oh no no, baby. Oh no. Sifa wakabango beze, baby. Obansuli wemkomera ichitalya. Oh no. Bobo manyisaga newe kuba kufanze kululunyiza newe ndiba nekadide mu myaka yegwali nzijamo buseka obanyiza mukwano yadde sina sente eziri kwanjula eziri gulubinti naye kusuubiza ndibawo ng'empewo gy'olisanga siko wagweddawo mama baby kulina mu feelingi njagala okimanye nkwagala nnyo munangi baby mulavu yegwali njigiriza okusoma n'okuwandiika ana baby lova nana oh nana yeah baby listen up baby girl no baby no oh nah yeah mundo mutima gumaja nguterese banga gunyanga chenyaja buli lunaku lavu yoje kuŋŋaanya era woncawo bondese wakati mu nnyanja nze mukwano kadanso mpomeranga nanasi katugeze nga vudde mu bulamu bw'ensi bwe mbeera sinnabuva musabayo kachansi noonya mukyala nanjagalako kane bwe mba siriwa nanjogerako baby anasalirako nyabo weraba mami ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba ngenze weraba bambi ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba newe ndibadde yakuludda lw'abalabe nditoloka wanyabo nzije kulabe ne bw'olibanga fesi yejjudde mbalabe yenze muvubuka aliko sibangako njagale nze kigambo kinkuumire nga ne bwe mba siriwero kitereke omutima munnange bagutagaza naye nsuubiza ne bwe nfa gwagusigaza kuwoze panja lino panja biwundu by'omutima tobikosanga baby kusabo nekuumire weraba bambi ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba ngenze weraba bambi ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba baby mundo mutima gumaja nguterese banga gunyanga chenyaja buli lunaku lavu yoja kuŋŋaanya era boncawo bondese wakati mu nnyanja kigambo kinkuumire nga ne bwe mba siriwero kitereke omutima munnange bagutagaza naye nsuubiza ne bwe nfa gwagusigaza noonya mukyala nanjagalako nga ne bwe mba siriwa nanjogerako baby anasalirako nyabo weraba bambi ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba ngenze weraba bambi ngenze kukola weraba bambi weraba munange ngenze kukola weraba oh no.
Dr. Loverboy.
Dr. Loverboy.
Hey, where did you get the name Dr. Loverboy?
Actually, it's a long story.
Hey.
Yeah, long way back from school, I decided to be a doctor. When it failed education-wise, I decided to stay with that title. Yeah, man.
The health.
Yeah, then Loverboy, I was baptized by my mom.
Okay, but you're a Loverboy.
Yeah.
You're a very fantastic musician, I should say.
Yeah, thank you for appreciating
it. Turning up here on Good Morning Uganda. Well, I would also want to know, when was the first time you performed, and which songs did you, or which artist inspired you to get into the music?
Yeah, actually, I got no story behind my starting. I started last year in January, and my first song was my hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any person you draw inspiration from, like a musician that you grew up looking up to?
Fellow musicians, I look up to
people who have succeeded more.
Okay.
Yeah, like Eddie Kenzo, Chameleon, those who work a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
They are my inspiration.
And which artists do you dream of working with, whether locally or internationally?
Internationally, I dream of working with Diamond Platinums, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, then in Uganda, I think it's Eddie Kenzo.
Okay,
Yeah.
because you said people who have made it so much in the industry here.
Yeah.
Well, if people want to find your music, where can they find it?
Actually, my music is well distributed, very well. Instagram, everywhere you can find my music.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds on TikTok, they are already there. Yeah, man.
Okay, earlier on we have had a discussion here on the show, and it was talking about the struggles that young people are going through that has led to many others actually committing suicide. So I don't know if you've had some friends of yours who are dealing with some of the issues like depression and stress. Have you, as an individual, been through such times as well?
Yeah, but a philosopher said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Some people, we are desperate. We as youths, we are desperate. So people can use you to get what you don't have just because you're desperate. So I got nothing to tell, but that is true.
True. So in simple terms, you want the young people to be patient and not so desperate for fame, money, and quick things.
And be
let God's plans prevail. So besides that, before I leave you, I want you to send a message to your fan this morning
friends.
And those who have been pushing you since you started your musical career.
First of all, I would like to thank my fans and my management. Big upon yourself, Hitawa Music. Thank you so much, my fans. I got nothing to say. I just appreciate. Yeah, man.
Okay, so we had Powerboy earlier on, and now we've had
Dr. Loverboy.
Dr. Loverboy. From Powerboy to Dr. Loverboy. So it's been good melodies and good vibes for the Friday. When we do return, we have more movie recommendations, sports news coming your way here on Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. Keep it here. This is Gmu.
Dr. Loverboy, Bombosh, we beat them harder. X on the back. Mono mtima kumanja, nguterese panga kunyanga chanyanja. Buliru na kulafu yote kumnganya, era bonchao kondese wakati mnyanja. Ululonze sita basawo bachinasi, mupano kadasa pomeranga nanase. Katukeze nga vudde mulamu bwensi, wembera sinawo bamusaba yakachanse. Nonya mchala ninjagalako, kane bwemba siriwa nanjogerako. Kakaja katosa nasalirako, anazuka kama dobi nasabirako. Weraba, mami nza kukola weraba. Weraba, mananga nza kukola weraba. Enze, weraba, mami nza kukola weraba.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having disability is not inability.
Every Friday 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world. holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Tonight on UBC.
What is the current state of affairs at KCCA?
The last 2 months have been very tough months.
What do you think is the challenge, the real challenge or challenges of Kampala Capital City Authority?
KCCA governance structure is very complex.
There is school of thought that the KCCA idea has failed. And some people think, actually I've talked to one of the mayors in the city and he thinks Kampala should be taken back to the local government system.
There's also a school of thought which says, why don't we have KCCA directly as an authority under the central government without the mess of political leaders and all these councils?
Have you applied for the substantive?
Yes, I have.
Tonight on UBC.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butebo. UBC Butebo.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good to have your company this morning, and thank you very much for sticking around. It's Good Morning Uganda Friday edition, and here we are with our movie recommendations of the day. 1st November 2024, 2nd November, 3rd November, you've got a full weekend of not only attending concerts or any other weekend events, but to also look into certain movies that you can see, view, and spice up your weekend. Our very first movie that we are recommending to you this particular weekend is Canary Black. Now, it is a 2024 action thriller spy film directed by Pierre Morel and written by Matthew Kennedy. Now, this film stars Kate Beckinsale as a CIA agent on the run, and when you look into the plot, now Avery Graves is a CIA agent who sticks a drive from a building in Tocho. Now, then she comes home to the 3rd anniversary with her husband, David. Later, she meets Jarvis, her boss at the CIA, and they speak of Kenji, who was using a business facade to ship arms to terrorists. Now, she comes home and finds it trashed and her husband missing. A phone on the table says to get the Canary Black file by midnight and mentions a detainee number or her husband dies. She asks for proof of life and is able to speak with her husband. Now, a hacker friend helps Avery locate the last call to the phone and gives her the address. She then goes to work and searches for the detainee number, Laszlo Stoica. She goes to the address and finds her husband's wedding ring and a phone on the table. She receives a call saying she has stepped on a pressure-sensitive bomb. She opens up the floor, sees the device is a bouncing Betty, effortlessly rips the leg off the study table, triggers the bomb by taking the weight of her foot. As the table flies straight up, she bats it out the window. Also, the explosion takes on the side of the building and leaves her slightly sooty. She then gives a middle finger to the camera that is monitoring her and runs out the building and jumps in her car. First, let's have a look at the trailer of the movie. I'll come back and tell you more about the cast and the production.
Hey, how was the trip?
Views were incredible. The people were friendly.
And the client?
Oh, I left him speechless.
Who is she? Agent Graves. She's my best. Her father worked for the agency. She was groomed since she was 18.
And her husband?
Hey, you. I missed you. Civilian. Doesn't know who she is. He's the only family she's got.
Honey?
You're home early, Agent Graves.
Where's my husband?
There's a file, Canary Black. You are going to steal it from your agency. If you fail, your husband dies.
Serena, it's me. I need your help.
If our enemies get their hands on this, it starts World War III. You have to contain this. Yes, sir.
I want every agent on the case.
You're crazy. I need to know what's on this now.
So disobeying instructions.
That's a character flaw of mine.
It's time to level the playing field. The agency will hunt you to the grave.
I didn't betray my country. You've always believed in me. Believe in me now.
Go, go, go! Agent Graves! Only way you're leaving here is on a stretcher.
It's one woman, damn it, just find her.
You're wearing a mute mask. It controls the decibel level of your voice.
You're a crazy bitch.
We're not really using that word to describe women anymore. There's been a whole thing.
Canary Black, an interesting one there. Let's look at the cast. The cast has Kate Beckinsale, who has the role as Avery Graves, Rupert Fred as David Brooks, there is Ray Stevenson as Javis Headland, Saffron Barrows as Elizabeth Mills, Ben Miles as DCIA Nathan Evans, then there is Goran Kostic as Konrad Breznov, Masayoshi Haneda as Kenji Nakajima, then Michael Brandon, the President of the United States, and then Charles Nishikawa as the Japanese Prime Minister. Now, looking at the production, a bit of this, Canary Black was first introduced at the 2022 Cannes Film Market as a spy thriller directed by Pierre Morel, written by Matthew Kennedy and starring Kate Beckinsale. And then at the American Film Marketer later in 2023, the first images of the production were released as Anton put the film up for sale. Then also filming began in Croatia in October 2022 and continued through January 2023. Filming took place primarily in Zagreb, where shooting interrupted service for several trams in Zagreb to control the environment of the outdoor action sequences, which included Beckinsale flying over the city from a drone and hanging from rooftops. Filming in Zagreb utilized the Dynamo Zagreb Stadion Maxima as a movie set, and the city of Rovinjev doubled for torture. Now, Canary Black was released on Prime Video on October 24th, 2024. Now, on to our next movie recommendation. We look into the other movies called Don't Move. Now, Don't Move is a 2024 American thriller film starring Kelsey Asbier, Finn Wittrock, Maury Treadwell, and Daniel Francis. It was directed by Adam Schindler and Brian Netto, and also written by T.J. Klimfo and David White. Netflix released the film on October 25th, 2024. Now, looking into the plot of the movie, Iris is grieving for her young son Mateo, who died during a family hiking trip. She visits the site of his death and, inconsolable, considers jumping off a cliff. A man appears who introduces himself as Richard, and after talking to him for a few minutes, Iris changes her mind. She follows Richard back to their parked cars, and at the parked cars, he attacks her with a stun device. And this device, incapacitated, he then ties her wrists and ankles with zip ties before placing her in the back of his car. Iris recovers consciousness as Richard is driving them to a remote cabin he knows, where he tells her they will have all weekend together. He uses her pocket knife to cut the tie on her wrists, and she attacks Richard, causing him to crash the car. The two fight briefly, but Iris manages to get out of the car and cut the securing ankles. But Richard then shows her a syringe and tells her that during the skirmish, he injected her with a paralyzing agent, which will gradually render her helpless over the space of about 20 minutes. Now, in the cast of the movie, Kelsey Asbiel acts as Iris, and then Finn Wittrock acts as Richard, Maury Treadwell acts as Bill, and Daniel Francis as Dontrell, who is a police officer. Let's have a look at the trailer.
15, your legs will get... Have you started to feel it yet?
What did you do to me?
Just a special relaxant to make things easier on both of us.
Are you crazy?
You have about 20 minutes before you're completely paralyzed. At minute 1, your fine motor skills will start to go. At minute 10, your legs will begin tingling. Minute 15, your legs will give out altogether. At minute 18, your breathing will become labored. And just before everything shuts down on you, your voice.
Whoa! Don't Move is the movie. Now, in December 2022, it was reported that Adam Schindler and Brian Netto would direct the thriller Don't Move, written by T.J. Klimfo and David White. It was then produced by Sam Raimi and Zainab Aziz of Raimi Productions, Christian Maturi's Capstone Studios, Alex Lebovici of Hammerstone Studios and Sarah Sarandos. In May 2023, Kelsey Asby and Finn Whitrock were cast in lead roles. Principal photography took place in Bulgaria from June to late July 2023, 2 days before completion. Production was granted on interim agreement to continue filming during the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. Mark Coven and Michelle Ossis scored the film. Now, its release in November 2023, Signature Entertainment acquired the distribution rights for the United Kingdom and Ireland. In April 2024, Netflix bought worldwide rights. The film was released on Netflix on October the 25th, 2024. And our last movie recommendation of the day takes us to Brothers. Now, Brothers is a 2024 American action comedy film directed by Max Barbacoa with a screenplay by Macron Blair from a story by Ethan Cohen. Now, the film stars Josh Brolin, Peter Dinklage, Glenn Close, Marisa Tomei, and Brendan Fraser. Produced by the Legendary Pictures, the film was released in the United States by Amazon MGM Studios in select theaters on October 10th, 2024, before debuting on Amazon Prime Video a week later on October 17th. Now, when you look at the cast, is having Josh Brolin as Mock Manja, Peter Dinklage as Jade Monga, and Marisa Tomei as Bethesda Waingro, then Tyler Page as Abe Manja Jacobson, then Glenn Close as Kathy Manja, Jennifer London as Young Kath, and then Braden Fraser as Jimmy Farful, then M. Emmett Walsh as Judge Faithful. Now, this film centers on two criminal twin brothers, Mike, known as Mock, and Jedi. The film starts Thanksgiving 1994 when the boys are 12. In a voiceover, we learn that the family business is crime. Now, the boys are working to crack and open a lock box they have stolen from their school, and their mother and her boyfriend arrive momentarily, only to grab a plate of turkey and flee the police with stolen emeralds. Now, 30 years later, Mock is trying to reform and get his life together now that he's married and he has a child on the way, and JD is fresh out of prison and looking for a new score. Facing legal troubles, gunfights, and family drama, they must reconcile their differences with each other and their mother, who they haven't seen since she fled 30 years earlier. The two embark on a dangerous haste road trip, eventually securing the emeralds and reconciling. Have a look at the trailer.
Where are my emeralds? What's the holdup?
Making arrangements.
Some families have a long line of dentists or lawyers. We had a long line of felons. That's me. The big ugly one is my twin brother, Moke. I had the plans, he had the hands.
We just bought a house where we're having a kid.
Bro, come on.
I am finished stealing shit.
Let's do this one and split.
Hey, I have to take it down.
1, 2, 3, Dracula. We can go 2 out of 3 if you want.
Get on the floor.
I just feel like Wolfman would beat out Dracula.
Wolfman's once a month. Dracula is all the time. Use your head.
This is a new beginning, huh? Can we have some private time?
What's wrong with you?
Mom?
Oh, shit! He dented the car!
You were gone 30 years.
I can apologize only so much.
You haven't apologized at all. Why are you back now?
The emeralds, worth about $4 million.
I got a plan, but it takes all of us.
Terrible plan.
Oh. Okay. Thank you.
is about to go down. The Brothers. It's a movie that I will definitely wish to look out for now, because I've just looked at the trailer and it has some interesting scenes in there. February 28, 2019, it was announced that the Legendary Entertainment that had purchased the project in a competitive bidding war with Ethan Cohen set to write the screenplay. Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage were attached to star in the film as well as producers alongside Andrew Laza. Now, the film was said to be tonally in the vein of Twins in 1988. Now, the release of this was October 2023. Amazon MGM Studios acquired distribution rights to the film. The film was released in select theaters in the United States on October 10th, 2024, before debuting on Amazon Prime Video on October 17th, 2024. All right, now that mentioned, we are going to be turning our attentions to the All Saints Cathedral in Nakasero. And of course, like I did mention at the opener, we shall be leaving you with that live broadcast, because today the new All Saints Cathedral is going to be officially reopened or officially opened by the president. And of course, there are quite a number of politicians and other delegates that are in presence from the side of the religious denominations of the Church of Uganda, or the Anglican faith, and quite other believers as well. And now, as you can see on the screen, is the proceedings of service at the All Saints Cathedral in Nakasero. We now leave you with that this morning.
Standing in for the provincial secretary to take us through the next part. Thank you. Your Grace and my Lord Bishops, allow me to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the following Church of Uganda para-institutions and a few individuals before I invite the Dean.